Welcome to a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the October 26, 2016 Lorain County Board of Commissioners meeting. Inspirational speech, Go Tribe.
Yes.
I have the dog.
And a dog you have. Cute, cute, cute. Somebody, I can't believe nobody's came to find this dog.
Yeah,
Did you just pick it up? Monday?
Come here. Come on, Elvis. Come on. Come on. You can go on TV.
When he died, too.
Oh, yeah.
Here you go. Our featured pet this week. About a 2-year-old English bulldog. He was found in Lorain. He's available for the owner till Friday. If not, he's up for grabs. First come, first served. Great personality, friendly. Everyone here is going crazy over him. How many dogs we got? 27. And we have 27 other dogs at the kennel that are looking for homes. So stop by, get a new family friend. Elvis is going to make a great pet. Too bad I got a new puppy a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I'd take you home. You ready? Come on.
Great
Madam
dog.
Clerk?
We have two presentations today. You want to do Ann
Yeah, let's
Sabo
roll
first?
right into those because it's almost
Is
9:35.
she here?
Yep, she's here.
Yep.
Ann? Yes. Did you want to?
Yep.
Yep, you're first.
Either side.
Okay.
Put it up on the side there.
Put it so the cameras can see it, so have it facing that way. The
Yeah.
cameras are right behind you, Ann.
There you go.
Good morning. My name is Ann Sabo. I am the Secretary of LaGrange Lions, and I would like to thank Lori for inviting me to speak here. This project that I would like to explain is called Project Lifesaver Lorain County. And the premise of this whole project is it's based on being an advanced technology type of search and rescue team to find kids with autism, adults with Alzheimer's, and individuals with other types of cognitive developmental issues who wander away. They go out of their safe spot and they don't know that they're no longer safe. They don't even recognize danger. So what Project Lifesaver is the band. I don't know if you can see on the picture on the right-hand side in the middle, it's like a watch band. What it actually is a transmitter, and it transmits radio emissions 24/7. And there is a receiver that the first receivers would use that picks up on the radio signal. Now each band has its own code. So each client would have a separate code, excuse me, so that if somebody went missing, they look on the database that is in the Sheriff's Department and in each county police department, or city police department, I should say. And they find out that person's name and what their code is. So their specific code is programmed into the receiver, and that way that receiver picks up only that code. The caregiver, because the people need to have a 24-hour caregiver. So as soon as the caregiver would recognize that the person is missing, they call 911. A first responder would go out to the scene, which would be the place last seen, and they would just stand in one spot and make a 360 with that receiver, looking for the signal that's coming from this transmitter. Once they pick up the signal, then they start to move in that direction, but they are also in contact with other first responders, so they can kind of coordinate and make like a big circle or a big square around the area where they're moving towards. Now, the nice thing about this project is they have actually been finding people in 30 minutes or less. So it's not a guarantee that there won't be some injuries, because injuries can occur quickly, but they are saving lives. Because when people go missing that do not realize that they're in danger, the longer they're missing, especially once it hits that 24-hour mark, their chance of surviving drops by 50%. So this project was actually started by a police chief in Virginia in 1998, and it was out of frustration after looking for people who have gone missing, not finding them in time, and he decided that something needed to be done so that we could find people quicker. So that's what this project is about. It is actually there's a sheet on the bottom right of the trifold, and I believe it's 52 or 51 counties out of Lorain. So that's a lot out of 88 counties. And it is very successful. There was, just in the last 2 months, I believe, there was a person that went missing in Ohio, and I do not recall the county, but they did find that girl in like 10 or 15 minutes. Wow. But the issue, too, with them wandering is the fact that they say that in an hour's time, as long as the person has the capability of walking well, they could be 5 miles from their safe place. Now, kids with autism, for some reason, have a huge attraction to water. And last year in July, the little Sydney in Sheffield Lake that went missing, and he was at his grandparents' house. They lived by the lake, and unfortunately that's where they found him. And that was the impetus that galvanized all the Lions Clubs of Lorain County to get together. We're partnered with the Lorain County Sheriff's Department, and the sheriff is actually in charge of this project. The Lions are like the fundraising arm. So we have been doing fundraisings. What we want to do, what we are doing, is buying the equipment. Each kit contains 1 transmitter, 12 batteries, 12 bands, a locking device to lock the whole transmitter closed, which makes it not 100% waterproof, but pretty water repellent that it can actually last underwater for a fairly good amount of time. People can shower with it, you could take a bath with it, that kind of thing. But it's been lasting, and they can actually find somebody in 10 feet of water, as long as it's still emitting the signal. But each kit, with all the equipment that's in it, costs $300. So the purpose of the Lions groups is we are raising the money to buy the kits so that money is not an object to prevent people from being clients. The only thing that they would be charged would be a $10 a month battery fee, because the batteries have to be changed monthly. And then after the first kit is totally used up, then the batteries need to be replaced. So that's all that money is used for. The nice thing is, because the Sheriff's Department is in charge of this, they are supposed to go out with a representative from this committee, and they go through all the paperwork, get it all signed, everything like that. The only 2 big requirements are, like I said, a 24-hour caregiver, because you have to know right away when that person went missing and where were they the last time they were seen. The longer it could be that they've been missing before somebody notices, the worse the outcome can be. And the other requirement is it has to be a doctor-diagnosed illness of autism or the Alzheimer's. They either have to be a high risk for wandering or have a history of wandering. Those are the two biggest requirements for someone to be on this program. So it's not really like a babysitter thing. A lot of people have asked us, can't we just put these on little kids so we know where they are? But that's not really what it's for. I mean, parents have to parent, but for people who have cognitive disorders, they really need a lot closer attention. They need to be monitored. They need to be found faster because it can be very difficult to take care of somebody who's got these things going on. They just walk out the door. You don't even realize it. Sometimes you just can't go to the bathroom quick enough. So what I wanted to do is to be able to get this out to the public. It's kind of a hard thing to get out to the public. I'm not quite sure why. We do already have at least 2 clients, and there were 3 ready to be signed up and banded. And so they could already be on the program. So that would be 5. And the thing is, we are working under the direction, so to speak, and the support of Erie County. And they bought 30 kits. I believe they've only ever used 24, so they do still have 6 additional, but they have a much smaller county than we do. So we have well over 300,000 people in this county. We don't even know for sure how many children with autism, how many adults with Alzheimer's there are, and how many people with other types of developmental delays that could qualify them for this. So we have to start somewhere. We originally started this in October of last year with a goal towards getting $30,000 collected by July 1st of 2016. In February of 2016, we already had $26,000. So we've been working hard. We are trying any avenues that come up. The more people I meet, the more contacts I get, so I can put this out there. And I am the publicity chairperson for the Project Lifesaver Lorain County Committee. So I really try to do this. We've been on Fox 8 News last December. We've been on the radio on 2 different channels. And we have had some information in the newspaper. I'm not sure how easy it's going to be to get clients, for the simple fact that we have certain places that we can start, like the Murray Ridge School, because I'm pretty sure that people there, they already know that their kids need some special attention. So I'm sure they would like to know that their children are safe, and so that's a good avenue. But like at doctor's offices, I have these brochures. We can put these in doctor's offices, but the thing about this is a lot of people, because of the stigma that seems to be attached to autism and Alzheimer's, a lot of people aren't public about it. Maybe only, small numbers in the family might know. Maybe very few friends might know that they have other friends that have an autistic child or an adult with autism or with Alzheimer's. So it's kind of one of those things. The farther we can get this out to the public, we can help protect the people that need to be protected, but we can also help push the education that these are not, they might not be bad things, as far as it's not something that should be a secret. It's not an illness that was caused by somebody doing something wrong. It's just things that happen. Unfortunately, children are born with autism, boys more than girls. Alzheimer's just does its thing. As much research as they're doing for it to find out what causes it, it's still going to happen. Even people that have had strokes, they can still get up and walk around, but their cognition is not what it should be. They could be at risk. So if we can get the education piece out there also, we're going to kind of kill two birds with one stone, because we can get the people protected and we can maybe chip away at that stigma that's attached to these things. So, but I have information here. I have some brochures, and I have these that tells, like some pictures and that kind of thing. If I could give these to you, if you would like them.
Sure. Do you want to give a phone number to contact in case somebody either wants to donate, or if they have a person in need that may?
Yes, and I
benefit from
actually, that's part of this. So it's run through, because it has to be a 501c3, and that is through the Amherst Lions Club Foundation. And you can mail, if you write a check, it is 100% tax deductible. And you have to make it payable to Amherst Lions Club Foundation and mail it to Project Lifesaver, Lorain County, P.O. Box 273, Amherst 44001. And I have plenty of brochures if anybody would like some. If anybody would like any more information, I would be glad to give it to you. So we're always working hard. I sent a letter to Warren Buffett. Didn't hear back from him, but, you don't get anything if you don't ask.
That's right, that's right.
Noble cause. Lions are a very active group within the community, so
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank
I met her
you.
at the sheriff's deputy steak fry,
Oh,
and
okay.
she was telling me about this. I'm like, wow, everybody needs to know about this. So thank you for coming in and telling us all about it. It's a great, I worked at a nursing home, one of my first jobs, so we used to have people chronically escaping from, they had dementia or Alzheimer's or whatever. So, yeah, thank you. Yes,
Because when they're out of their own element, it kind of makes it worse for them.
that's right. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk,
Next is Rick Svat for TB.
come on up, Rick.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Rick. Been a while.
It's been, you used to coach, or you were a referee or umpire?
Oh
or
yeah,
something.
I had 30 years of CYO
Yeah.
administration, and
And you look exactly the same.
really.
Yes, you do.
Ah, well, thank you for the compliment. It's a pleasure to be back in front of the group here. Seems like it was not that long ago, but it's been over 4 years. But working with the Lorain County Commissioners, the TB clinic at Mercy began operating in March of 2012 as a partner in fighting the ongoing battle of controlling the potentially deadly disease tuberculosis, and obviously with the goal of helping to secure the health and safety of the citizens of Lorain County against a true threat. I bet that most of the community, and after 4 years of working in this environment, and certainly not my expertise, I run Mercy's Occupational Health and Sports Medicine, and Mr. Oley asked me to work with Jim and figure out how this, and I did the due diligence with Jim. Then the next thing I knew, I asked who was going to be the director of it, and he said, well, you are. So it's been an ongoing educational piece, and one of the things that, as a citizen of the county, very recognizable that most people in Lorain County don't know anything about TB until it hits the newspaper. Most people think that TB is eradicated, which actually is a great testimonial to the success story that that the TB clinic was prior to Mercy, and certainly in the last 4 years. The reality is the TB threat is still there in urban communities and larger cities in Ohio. It's much more so than in the rural areas. So the Cleveland areas, Lorain, Cincinnati, Columbus are usually a hotbed for more cases. But the reality is the threat continues to be present. But with the due diligence of the medical community, government, and the citizens, certainly continue our fight against this potentially threat to our health and safety of our citizens, and a wide-scale TB outbreak. And that's obviously what the number one thing that we try to do is control this issue instead of at someday, somewhere down the line, eradicating it, which is years and years down the road. Since 2012, the TB clinic has provided care and treatment to 24 active cases and 345 latent cases. Now, an active case is somebody that has the disease, is contagious, and can spread it to the whole community. So every single person they touch is potentially a new case. Those people are usually, well, not most of the time, are quarantined. And we've had in the 4 years some really interesting cases where 2, 3, 4, I forget the total, active cases have been homeless cases. So not only did we have to provide medical care to it, but we set up housing. Worked with a hotel that would accept the patient, quarantine them inside that hotel, and provide daily, what we call DOT, direct observed therapy treatment, which means one of our nurses goes out, hand delivers the medication on a daily basis to that patient, watches them take the medication, and then does that same thing the next day. It's that important that to make sure the patients, you and I would probably automatically take it because we want to get better, but many times patients don't want to take, people don't want to take the medication for a variety of reasons. So that's an active case. The 345 latent cases are, probably more people are familiar with the, this is similar to shingles, for example. It's in your system, bacteria is in your system, it's dormant, and if you have a skin test, you can be diagnosed as a latent case. Patients have the right to say, no, I don't want treatment, but a latent case can turn into an active case, so we're trying to be proactive in that prevention. And in that 4 years, it's kind of interesting. We've had 4 highly publicized and a large contact investigation. One at Admiral King High School, one at Luria High School, which is very, very challenging because you're working and testing minors, and parents are usually involved in that. But at both places, we were able to bring, I think it was about 8 to 10 nurses, and test in 1 day, 1 or 2 days, and then come back 48 hours to do the read. So working with schools and government is something that obviously is something that we do on a fairly continued basis. In fact, it's somewhat funny because we work very, very closely with Ohio Department of Health. And when we had the Admiral King case, and then 6 months later, Luria High said, you never receive, no one ever has had that tight of a window where you've had to do high schools within a 6-month period. So education by baptism there, it's kind of, it's a quick learner. And we also have had a major restaurant franchise that had a contact investigation, as well as some local bars in the area. And each one has been a challenge. The TB medical team, headed by our medical director, Dr. Paul Murray, who is also Mercy's infectious disease director. So it's a nice continuation of an expert becoming our medical director as well. Tested over 3,000 Lorain County residents in those 4 contact investigations. And as mentioned, at Mercy, mostly because also that I run the occupational health, we were able to pull 8 nurses to be able to help with those contact investigations. So a very nice synergy is provided with the TB clinic and other departments throughout Mercy. I do believe in recognizing the tremendous work, both of the efforts that the TB clinic has had prior to us and even now. In fact, I'm very proud of our team because in the last 4 years, the staff at the TB clinic has been asked by Ohio Department of Health to provide topics 3 times at their conferences. So things that we have done in the last 4 years with our staff has not been handled better than what we have done or handled at all. And those 3 conferences included topics such as how to provide a contact investigation with the homeless population. Obviously, we've had a number of examples of that. Effective treatments of individuals with alcoholism and TB. You see an awful lot of that intermingling. And then we also provided several case studies for educational training purposes for other TB staffs throughout Ohio. So we've had people from other TB clinics throughout the Ohio. ODH has brought them to us, or our staff has gone to them to be able to try to get them up to speed. I think the Lorain County TB Clinic, administered by the county government, is a true success story for the residents of Lorain County. The efforts and programs in place need to be recognized, but most importantly, the fight must be continued and until the TB bacteria is no longer a threat to the citizens of Lorain County. And obviously that all encompasses your efforts, efforts at the TB clinic, efforts for the community to support the levy down the road, and certainly that's important to the continuation and the safety of the whole citizens of Lorain County.
It's a true public-private partnership that's worked, and we cut the levy in half for the residents. That doesn't
Exactly.
happen too often, and we're getting great results. So
Yeah.
you guys
So-
do a great job there.
Well, I
Dr. Murray's a
appreciate
great
it.
guy.
Our every time there's a contact investigation that hits the newspaper, my marketing team says from the marketing department, "Why are we doing this?" And I said, "Well, because it's working, and you know it's hard to control the media at times, but that's part of what we do."
Well, let me also point out that we've had very modest increases for the fee for services. We had a no increase contract for the first 3 years.
First 3 years.
And then we had very, very low increases, which are stable for the next 3 years. So,
Additionally, we worked with the ODH. I think we just reimbursed, the county was reimbursed for, I think, $10,000.
that was that grant from,
Yes.
right, from the Department of Health. Remember some naysayers several years back said, oh, they're gonna hook you in. Once you did away with these services, then they're gonna bleed you dry, because you'll have no other option. Good public-private partnership. I like working with Rick. We don't talk to each other, but
Not much.
every once in a while when there's a bad situation.
Well, usually I only get phone calls from people when something goes wrong, so you know we haven't talked, so that's worked well.
Good sign.
That's a good thing, right?
Yeah,
It's a good-
and you know, work with Jim when we've had situations with the homeless where we've had additional expenses, and Jim's been great to work with and make sure that everything is mutually beneficial.
The one thing we have to add, because we bring this up a little bit, but maybe not enough, this is mandatory services under the Ohio Revised Code. It's not discretionary services in the community. It has to be paid for, whether there's a levy or no levy. Regardless, you are responsible by code, by statute, to pay for these services. So I don't want people to think that we're doing something elective in the community. Whether, I would hope that even if it was elective, we would deal with this, but right now, it's a mandatory requirement of the Board of Commissioners to pay for these services.
Yes, on 34.
And I do agree. I mean, I think, you know, working with Ohio Department of Health, one of the things that's been very, very evident is Maureen Murphy is the leader of the TB down at ODH. She's just retiring, I believe it is, this month and next month, which is unfortunate because we have a great working relationship with her, but she also has a great team that will take over. Over the last 4 years, it's been very, very beneficial working with her, and the recognition that she has provided to what's really working. One of the best throughout the 88 counties is here in Lorain County, and that's a TB clinic.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that's great.
Thanks, Rick.
All right, thank you
Thanks
very
for
much.
coming in.
Before we go to the agenda, Rosa Gee called me yesterday about an issue coming up with the veterans. You want to do yours now for the Valor Home? That means you don't have to sit through our meeting. That way everybody can cut out.
Joe don't get to talk?
No, never.
Good morning. My name is Rosa Gee. I'm a Sheffield Lake Council member, but today I come before you in regards to Valor Home and the Veterans of Lorain County. Valor Home currently has 18 residents. 11 of them have income. We've really done a great job over at Valor Home. The community is really pulled together for Valor Home also. Valor Home does have some issues, and we're always trying to raise funds. We are going to be doing a presentation, a special tribute to our veterans of Lorain County. We're calling it Because We Were Soldiers. It'll be held at the Lorain Palace Theater November 4th, 2016. It'll start at 7 p.m. We're going to have the ballet Blood Stripe. It was created by Denise Gulla. She wrote this and designed it, after she saw what her daughter and her son-in-law went through after her son-in-law came home from serving overseas. We're also going to have the preview of Project 22. And as all of you are aware, Project 22 is associated with the 22 veterans that commit suicide each day. Please keep in mind, even the government is saying that count of 22 a day is very under what the true count is. Now, we are supplying this event free to all veterans and their spouses. The rest of the community, we are charging $10. Each person that contributes to $10, these funds will be going to help Valor Home with many things that are needed. Right now, we have Mike Secletar, which I'm sure everyone is aware. He did the wonderful murals in Amherst. He's getting ready to do a mural on the outside of Valor Home that honors the valor that these people have served. The building needs an up-face look outside. We don't want it to look shabby. Our veterans are trying really hard. We're doing a great success with them. We even have a full-time college student there now. They're doing great things moving forward. We want a building that reflects that. This painting, we're taking up funds for it. So anyone wishing could always donate even a check in honor of Valor Home's mural. That way you know your funds go straight to the mural. But this is a very worthwhile event that we're having at the Palace. And once again, I can't emphasize, it is free to all veterans. It is free to all their spouses. Anyone wishing to get a ticket, feel free to call me at my home phone, 440-949-4883, and I will gladly make sure you get them. Anyone that has access to stop by the Palace during their business hours can also get them free at the box office by saying they are a veteran. If anyone has any issues, please feel free to call me. Thank you.
Thanks, Rosa.
Thank you, Rosa. Nice program. Anything for the Valor Home. The commissioners actually participated through a lot of that, including donations of food when we closed the Golden Acres Nursing Home. So, been there multiple times. Great facility, doing
Yep.
great work. So, nice fundraiser for those who can attend. It's $10. Thank you.
Teresa Gillis, do we want to?
Oh, you have a?
Do you want to come up for something now? No?
She just wanted to sell me a ticket. Cost me
Okay.
$20 when I
I
walked
do
in
too.
today. Yeah, she got 40 out of it.
Oh, you paid out of your campaign fund, somebody else.
No, I
paid.
didn't.
No, yeah, you can.
Madam Clerk,
Under Resolutions, number 1, investments.
so moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye,
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Appropriations.
so moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye,
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Transfers.
so moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye,
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
No advances, no repayments, requisitions.
so moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye,
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Travel.
so moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye,
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Bills.
so moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye,
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Under the Commissioners, authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary sheet for employees within the jurisdiction of Lorain County Commissioners.
Mr. Cordez?
Aye. Commissioner Vice President of the Board. I do have a few issues, potential hire at Job Family Services, update on negotiations, United Steelworkers of America, and multiple elected officials. As you know, we're the prime contract and we do the secondary contracts in the order of the treasurer, clerk of courts, a recorder's office. So those are ongoing. I want to brief you on those. Potential sale and purchase of real estate. And I think council has some pending legal matters, but I'll wait for that. So all of those topics allowable under the Sunshine Act for executive session discussion. So I'd ask at the conclusion of our regular board meeting, we go into executive session and discuss those items.
Thank you.
Approve and waive the reading of the minutes of October 19th.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye,
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Decision on the municipal annexation of 0.6563 acres from Eaton Township to the Village of Grafton, Mayor David Defense. Oh, Lord.
DiVincenzo?
DiVincenzo, agent.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Sure. Can you come up?
Sure. While we're waiting for the gentleman to speak from the audience, Trustee Jerry, any specific rules in regarding to this? Go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
If you can hold on 1 second, just a
Sure.
question. Nothing, okay. Go ahead. Introduce yourself again for us.
Yeah, once again, Jason Monschein, one of the 3 trustees from Eaton Township.
You might want to pull that mic up so we can hear better. There you go.
Jason Monschein, one of the 3 trustees from Eaton Township. Mr. Schrader, who's usually accompanied me on the last few meetings, he's ill this week and was not able to make it. Either way, I just had 3 questions, concerns, comments concerning the last remission here. Number 1, obviously they removed the wrong parcel number from the legal description. With that, and this was just my copy that I got off from the email, I have the letter to the engineer for his opinion of if this legal description was okay in their mind. I did not get a copy of it. Was there one issued? I did see Peter earlier, but I didn't get a chance to talk to him about that.
He's saying yes.
Okay, all right. Now, this is, I guess, a question for the board. Perhaps Jerry, even though I understand that Jerry has not represented me in this case, as we've been kind of pitted against each other. Last time they had an error, they had to withdraw and then have another public meeting authorizing it so the mayor could re-bring it to the board. This time they did not do that. In the paperwork they filed, it's still the same meeting minutes from August, I believe, which would have been the meeting approving the last legal description with the wrong parcel number. This is just one of the
Jerry?
question. Was there a precedence, or is that a standard procedure that, if you understand what I'm asking?
Well, what you're saying is that the resolution that they had authorizing this to be submitted had the wrong resolution number?
No.
Parcel.
Okay, so
Parcel
the first
number.
time when the engineer found the error, they had to withdraw it and reapply it, have it redrawn, yada, yada, yada.
Are you asking, were they required to have another public hearing with the new parcel?
Correct, or
numbers?
bring up,
And did they do that?
from the paperwork I have, this is the same meeting that would have been from the authorizing the second filing. So the one where we found the error on the parcel number.
Without having another public hearing to the
I
public.
think that could be filed.
No.
We didn't have a public.
They're not
hearing.
required
have
to
to
have
have
a
a
public
public
hearing.
We don't have
As long as we have,
And I'm referring to the Village of Grafton, not
Right.
Right.
the board, the commission.
yeah,
I
there's,
just didn't know if that was,
no, there's nothing that requires them to have a public hearing at their, as long as we have a appropriate resolution.
okay, so that same resolution for the last one should work for this one.
They
Because
did
last time
supply-
they re-brought, if I went and got the other annexation paperwork, they had a meeting authorizing, withdrew, fixed the error, reauthorized it in one of their council meetings. This time it's the same meeting from,
Correct,
the last
but this resolution that they provided, the ordinance, whatever they provided here, the parcel number is not the incorrect parcel number that was referenced last time. It's the same parcel number that was the very first time in it.
correct, yeah, they had that right. It was just in the
Right.
legal description they had it wrong.
Right.
So the
So they
public
just
meeting then
used
counted.
the same exact,
Yeah,
Because it was
all they did was
correct.
actually
Correct.
remove the parcel number and
Right.
didn't put any parcel
Right.
number. But,
Right.
I guess I'm referring to their ordinance 16-021
correct?
is all, question.
Yeah, there's nothing that requires a public hearing by the village.
Okay. Again, I only asked because they did it last time, they re-brought it up. So, that was one. Number 2, in the legal description, it mentions, basically, it encloses 28,588 square feet and the X amount of acres. Be the same more or less. I sat down, did some math. Again, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a surveyor, but to me, it's an average of what the property should be. They refer to the county records of the map 79, 80, and 81. At the recorder's office, when you grab that, the one part that stood out to me was survey monuments slash stakes or survey markers to be properly placed upon completion of construction. Now, that's fine when we were talking about the development itself. You know, obviously, there's only one home that borders this right now. To the other side, there's an open field who has even wrote me a letter offering to buy this property from Grafton because they're so against having something back there. I guess my comment here would be, if it says that they perhaps are not properly marked until construction was completed or to that phase, they get to that phase, I would request that, since the Village of Grafton has not provided their own survey, and I'm not saying that this survey is wrong, but how I read it, would it be, in my mind, fair on behalf of the township and its residents and these neighboring property owners who don't, or against this, and I understand, like I've said before, you guys have limited opportunities here to deny or grant, as well as us as the township, but I would ask that you require them to do a survey to see if it conforms to this. This plat was never brought up in front of our zoning. I don't know the proper term, Jerry. I'm going to call it an administrative type plat here that was done by the developer to kind of create this parcel. And going through it, the original survey was done in 2004 for the development. In 2013, it was redone, resurveyed to pretty much create this parcel. And it, you know, it's signed by, obviously, the engineer, signed by Jerry. Everybody signed in May. Then it was told to the Eaton Township Trustees, which was before my time. They had to sign it a month later. There was really no choice. It was going to go through either or, it would appear. But I guess I'm questioning the fact of, since they refer to it in the legal description, and it says here that other stakes or pins or monuments should be properly placed upon construction, being that there is only one house currently built along this and another house going in with many more sublots to be built, that they perhaps provide us with a survey that does confirm that this is accurate as far as the acreage and the square footage.
Jerry, are they required to resurvey from something we've already got that's platted?
No, I mean, the only thing we can require is what we believe to be an accurate description.
And I get a little bit of that from the
Yeah.
Ohio Attorney General, which kind of where his legal opinion came from last time that I had brought up. One of the questions by that county prosecutor for the commissioners was they were not sure if it was a truly an accurate map that they were given. So they had requested an annexation survey, which again, that's not what I'm really requesting, but that's where his opinion came from, that you could, if you don't believe that there may, you know, things may be off, that a survey could be requested.
Jason, you've done a heck of a job trying to fight this, but this is a municipal annexation of property that.
And the question is, if they spent this money, Jason, and I agree with Ted, but if they spent the money, because surveying isn't inexpensive.
Right.
If they spent the money and the line was off 1 foot,
Mm-hmm.
is it gonna make that much of a difference, number one?
Right.
And number two, they'll be back with the annexation again after
Sure.
spending more public funds.
And I was just gonna go down the road that I'm not trying to be a bother, you know.
Well, I think it's excellent what you're doing.
You're doing a great job fighting for your
Yeah, you know,
township.
I
I'm
got
loving it.
6,000 residents that, you know,
Right.
I'm supposed to represent here, and in this case, I have 2 neighboring residents that are totally against this, and, you know, that's why I'm here. Obviously, yes, myself, for other reasons that we have made public, of other reasons why we're against it. But yes, Yeah, what, is it a foot or is it more? Just, until I saw that, one, they do say more or less in the legal description, and two, according to how I read this here, that they will be properly, and I underline properly, set. To me, because there was no construction in 2004, it was an all one field, that there is the potential for error, and again, that was fine for the development in my mind, but now that we're removing land from the township / even the county in a way, because it's all unincorporated, to an unincorporated, that's why I'm so particular about it. Just like if Erie County, Huron County, Medina County, or Cuyahoga County was gonna come here and take some land from Lorain County into one of the, I'd imagine you guys too would wanna know the exact.
Yeah, the good thing is that's not legal to do anymore, hasn't been for a long time.
Well,
So
sure,
the-
it was a
the-
magical
the,
scenario, but-
Remember
right.
15 years ago, when part of Columbia Township was thinking about going to Cuyahoga with Strong's.
Well, they would think, Strongsville was gonna annex, but it
Annex,
still
right.
would have been in Lorain County.
Right, but I mean, they'd have taken
Right,
parcels of ours in Strong's.
But it wouldn't have changed counties.
Wouldn't have changed county
The-
lines.
And I understand Vermillion's kind of our one city where we do,
Correct.
Right,
in
when
two
was-
different counties, but
2013,
2013, right before the property transfer. Well, again, I guess you'd have to refer to the engineer. How I read it, it was done in 2004, and perhaps this other surveyor was out there in 2013.
Yeah,
Again,
those are pretty recent
Yeah, it's kinda
surveys.
hard to
You know, this,
challenge, though.
this was a 50 or 60-year-old survey, maybe, we need to go out and relook at the pins, but those are pretty new.
well, and then there's some spots where, I'm sorry, it's supposed to have pins marked, and I don't see them where there's actually a marking of the pin for the border of this property. Again, I think this was created, because it's referring to more than just this property. It was kind of the whole bottom section of the development, but that is where the property came from, which even was an easement at one time, an older map. So, again, I'm just throwing it out there that, we'd like to make sure that, one, they're not on the field of the property owner that is very concerned about people being in and out. By chance, I was out there with Peter for another reason, and when you look at this property, it's just all wooded. There's a fence post kind of where it's pinned, but there was no flags, nothing that stood out to me. I understand they'd probably be buried in whatever the case is. So it's just a comment in your decision. Think about it. Just wanted to point it out. And again, in the county commissioner's manual, annexation manual, accurate defines accurate how many times, and there you go. And the third thing I had is in that same manual, it mentions if the municipality was to purchase the land under fair market value. And if that question is raised, that the commissioner shall at least consider or talk with the prosecutor and hold up a decision, or if not, think about it for their decision. Again, in the contract that I have, which is on Grafton Village's website, they mentioned $12,500 they would pay for this property. On the auditor's website, zero. It's transferred for zero. The value of it, I don't know, but obviously it's probably worth more than zero. So at least that is one of the two stipulations I would say that it was at least purchased under fair market value. Something to ponder. So those are my 3 points, questions, concerns. And again, this is probably it. I mean, after, if we got a correct survey, or at least one that can conform to this on the plat at the recorder's office, and they I guess give a reason why a contract says they pay this much and it was actually transferred for zero, I think we, as a board of trustees and township, would finally have to
Acquiesce.
Right. I mean, I'd be out of, an
I
argument.
appreciate all your arguments, Jason, but I'm probably going to move to approve this annexation. It's gone through a couple of times. It's municipal annexation to property they own. And you bring up some nice arguments. You really have spent a lot of time on this and a lot of work.
Mhm.
But more or less, you know what I'm saying, is again, conjecture at this point. So I mean, it's been going on. And to go out and spend the public dollars, again, their taxpayer dollars, whether they're Grafton residents or township residents, whoever's dollars those may be.
Mhm.
We have a general idea of the placement of the property and what they're going to acquire. I mean, we've seen the sheriff has said no against this too, but, I mean, there's not a whole lot of places we can stop this at and to keep
Sure,
spending the
and I
public
understand that.
dollars.
Right.
I
Yeah.
just can't see telling Grafton go back and spend more money for
Right.
something that's going to be approved based on moving it a foot either way or 2 foot on that parcels.
Right, if that was the case, again, the board has to determine if it's an accurate description of, the borders. But again, when it comes to tax dollars, the big argument here is Grafton trying to go after 3 townships' tax dollars that they pay into the Midview School District. So I would argue back and forth that I'd make them spend some money because they've just been filing paperwork with whether it's errors or just whatever they're getting from the recorder's office. Make them do some work because this, again, is kind of a pretty easy thing for them. They have to meet pretty much 2 requirements, a map and the legal description. Now, on the map you were given, I would ask if you can see those pins, because the one I have, it is blurred, it's blacked out. And again, that's just the other requirement that, thank you for and I'm not by any means going to get it, but,
Right. You've done a good job representing your residents, Jason, you really have done a very good job.
okay. So I again would ask you to deny it and require them to have a survey. Thank you. Thanks for letting me speak.
Jerry, the issues that he brought up, still delaying the inevitable. If we were to wait, make them jump through a couple more hoops.
I think if you feel that you have an accurate description, the law says you're supposed to approve it. So,
Madam Clerk?
Mr. Kalo?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Thanks, Jason, nice job.
Advertise notice for furnishing all labor, materials, and equipment for courthouse Phase 2 building alternations package. Notice in Chronicle on November 1st and 8th. Mandatory pre-bid at 9 a.m. November 15th and open at 2 p.m. on November 29th.
So moved.
Second,
Discussion.
do you want to comment on that, Mr. Cortez? Number
Yes,
11.
we were talking so much, I lost my agenda.
Number 11, the courthouse, Phase 2.
The courthouse. The alternatives?
Well, we're still ahead of the collection center. Work is progressing nicely. You saw there was some work on Court Street over there. I will tell you that my communication with Elyria with regard to a couple outstanding issues to support the project, I believe are going to be remedied satisfactorily. I've gotten some support correspondence from the mayor. We were a little bit slow to move that because we had some issues that we wanted to resolve before we did the bidding. I'm pleased with it. Recognize there's going to be a lot of uncertainty once we start actually digging into the core of the building, and I anticipate that that's where we may run into some problems. So we're ready to go ahead and do this, and as soon as we defoliate the trees, we're going to be working on getting some of the trees down and prepping the area. I know people wondering about the fence, but we need to move a lot of construction vehicles in. We need to prep and get things ready, which is easier to get the fence up while we do that. I think significant work will be starting in the next few weeks. I'm pleased with the work of Clark and Post, Karen Davis, and our relationship with the courts and moving the project forward. I think it'll continue this way, and we'll get a nice outcome.
Thank
We
you.
received a nice letter from Judge Jim Moraldi, talking about the probation department and their contentment and happiness with what they have over there at
And
the
it's
Broad
only,
Street
and
building.
we only did it for temporary.
Right.
When people want to get an outcome and collaborate, you usually will be successful. You can always tell when there's a reason or a hidden agenda, because you never seem to reach satisfactory conclusion. But everybody's working together now very, very well, and I'm very satisfied with where we're going.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Accept the Finley Davis Actuary Report and establish Lorain County healthcare rates and contribution shares for non-bargaining union employees for the year 2017.
So moved.
Second,
Discussion.
Mr. Cortez, we went up a little bit
Well, we
since
can.
last year.
It's been a pretty good year. Actually, the last couple of years have been pretty good. While the numbers are not there, I believe the reports that I shared with you indicated a very modest 3.4% overall increase in the rates this year, which exceeds markets' expectations. You hear about all the increases that are going on throughout the healthcare industry. We've been able to defy the trend a little bit. I really don't want to do the victory dance in the end zone, because years ago we had a couple bad years. You follow the trend curve, and utilization is up sometimes, and sometimes it's down. I think we're doing good. I want to still do better. This is a very expensive area when it comes to human capital cost and operations. While we have multiple employers in this plan, it is a multiple employer self-insured plan administered by the county, solely by the county. We have a healthcare committee of one. We've been doing this a very, very long period of time, but I expect our expenditure this year to be about $33 to $34 million. We have villages, townships, libraries, agencies that have contracted with us to provide these healthcare services. I think they're pleased with the operation. I at least talked to one of our bigger employers yesterday and indicated what I thought the increases were going to be, and it was a little bit of exuberance on the end of the phone, because it's a big expense for them also. But I am looking at potentially having conversation to do maybe some amnesty next year on the premium. We've done well in our cash account because we've had less increased cost than was predicted in some of our actuary reports. So it may be time to do a premium holiday with our employees and employer, and I'll be reviewing that pretty closely. That'll also be a nice benefit to those that are enrolled in the plan. We did exceed expectations of our actual report 2 years in a row, which gave us a little bit more cash than I believe we should be carrying in that account. We do bill quarterly. We used to bill monthly, and so at some quarters we can have about $8 million in cash call before we start getting our payments.
Right.
So we do have to keep a fairly generous cash balance in there. But I think we can look at some premium holidays for next year, and I'll have more conversation with you on that. And that's because of the success of the plan. I'm the plan administrator, but you're the plan fiduciaries. So the well-being of this plan falls squarely on your shoulders, not just for the Lorain County, but for all the contracted entities out there that participate with us. So congratulations.
You're in good hands.
I think so. Unlike Cuyahoga, who ran out of
money.
What did they do? 32 million or something like
Shy
that.
under cash.
That they ran out of cash and weren't sure where they were going to get the money from, and they weren't even through the whole year yet.
Right.
So we keep our checks and balance pretty tight here.
Thank you.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Cordez.
I have no further comment. Thank you.
Mr. Innes.
I do have a couple of issues of pending litigation to discuss with the commissioners in executive session.
Commissioners report.
Well, last Wednesday, the Young Dems had their meeting at the Foundry downtown Elyria, so I finally had an opportunity to check it out, and it is a gorgeous facility. I did have the calamari, Mr. Cortez, and I thought it was good. So it's a beautiful place, beautiful place. They have a nice little room there for meeting rooms, and I was very happy to see that. Thursday, I attended a fundraiser for the Lorain International at the IAV, and then from there, I met Tom Callahan, who's a councilman in Elyria at St. Jude's. They had a block watch, and they have a lot of people that actually turn out for that and very engaged in their community. Then he did an interview with me over at the radio station on Gulf Road and Ohio Street. It's WCAN Radio. It's an internet radio station that streams all over the world. So we did a half an hour, and we had people calling in and sending emails in, asking questions. It was really neat. Then Friday, I actually went to Marinell Steel in Amherst, my alma mater, and did a commercial for their telethon that they're going to be having. Saturday, my daughter and I snuck off to Hard Rock Casino, not to gamble, but to try out for the Wheel of Fortune. It was so fun. We did not get our name drawn, unfortunately. She's really super good at Wheel of Fortune. One day we were watching it, and she picked Strait of Gibraltar, and there were no letters up on there. So, I mean, she's phenomenal. So, but we didn't get picked, unfortunately. And then from there, I went to the Carlisle Fire Department, had a spaghetti dinner. And then Sunday, pancake breakfast at Knights of St. John's for the FOPA. Yesterday, we had our investment advisory and council meeting, and the treasurer is going to increase our interest a little bit, which helps. And then
Before you pass on that issue, I never like the word increase without indicating that we're still approximately 6.8, 7 million.
Yep.
6.7 million is what I pointed out in the
Okay.
meeting yesterday when he gives us hopefully they approve, Budget Commission approving it.
I do like the Rosa report of an additional few $100,000, but we do have a tax initiative on the ballot, and I don't want the public to think, oh, we're doing fine.
No.
We're still $6.7 million less in interest income than we were 5 years ago.
Right.
About 7 years ago, 7 or 8.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
It's been that long, Jim, think about it.
It has been that long. So how
Year
many?
after
You do
year,
the math.
7
How many
million
years
year
we haven't
after
been getting
year.
roughly $7 million? That's
Oh, yeah, it's been about
$49 million
70 years,
in income
Yeah,
that
it's
the
50
county
million
hasn't.
bucks.
Yeah, it's a whole.
That may be the talking point of Chip tonight.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
loss of
thank you for
$50 million.
covering Chip tonight for me. I won't be able to attend.
As if I had a really
My son has a World
discretionary.
Series ticket for me tonight. I'm going to the game.
I appreciate the thank you, but I didn't recognize it as a volunteer situation.
It wasn't, but I'm so thanking you for doing what you're told.
And then lastly, I attended the Parade of Scholars at Lorain County Community College last night. They did a really nice job highlighting our donors and
How do
just
those
all
kids
the-
look when they stand up? I'm sorry I didn't join you
They
for dinner
didn't-
last night. I
they
had a
didn't do
confusion.
that.
They
That's
didn't
what
have
I-
them stand up?
Well, no. No, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I
No.
thought they were going to actually parade
They
all
normally
the
don't parade them.
students.
What they do is usually have them stand at the table, be recognized. Usually there's some of the awardees are at each table with the people that do
The scholarships?
the scholarship. Thank you. Yeah, I've been out there many times. I'm sorry about the confusion in the schedule last night. I was supposed to be your date, and I stood you up. So
It's
I
not the
had
first time.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
I had the confusion, but normally it's really fun to have those kids there.
It was.
Lots of them come from less means, and they're excited about getting a scholarship and excited about a future that they may not have without that help.
Right.
A wonderful program out there. I've
It
attended
is.
multiple times. It is a really good program.
End of my report.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, very busy week. Commissioners, last Wednesday night, we had our public hearing in New Russia Township. Thank you for those who attended. We'll have one more, which will be Tuesday, November 1st at City of Lorain Council Chambers at 6 o'clock to discuss basically the state of the county, discussion public transit, heroin epidemic, crime, taxes, and the finances. Attended policy committee at NOACO, moved some important issues for us actually up, where we got the TLCI grants earlier in the year for transportation and for lakefront development. We had a pilot program to use dollars to help do implementation. We're moving that up to the formal board that will then talk about making it a permanent, not a pilot program, to give dollars. A lot of places you get planning grants, and I'm sure our not-for-profits are aware of it. But then when the planning's all done, it ends up sitting on a shelf. This is actually an implementation. There'll be dollars available to implement the plan you've.
How
would
much
compare-
dollars?
We're at $500,000 right now under the proposal. That could go up to $1 million in implementation. So I don't know if we will quite be able to have our stuff done, because the round starts the end of December to start submitting for next year, so, for the new implementation money. So
We're
we'll probably
just
be the
now
year
taking
after.
proposals for our
Right, so we'll probably,
grants.
but that still puts us in around for 18.
Yeah, but how could any community actually meet that? We all got our grants awards at the same time. We all had to wait for.
TLCI grants have been out for a decade, Jim.
But they just made the award. You're talking about they're gonna do it for last year, prior year grants that they've done for planning?
Correct, or it takes a year or two to get
Well,
grants done. Like Elyria got implementation money this year, I think $250,000 on the reconfiguration of downtown.
I'm sorry, I thought we were just talking about this last round of grants.
No, this is a pilot program that we had to start funding implementation money on grants that, on planning that got done that qualified to be implemented.
Unfortunately, I misunderstood. I thought it
Yeah,
was just
okay,
this
no,
round.
it's not for these, it's to
Okay.
become a permanent part.
Okay,
It used to be $1 million in just planning grants.
Right.
But a lot of communities, they got their plans all done and didn't have the local match to start a program.
so they're gonna go back all those years, probably the ones that have
No,
been
only,
sitting.
probably only a couple, three, because the other plans wouldn't be as viable anymore,
Okay.
so. But that's very, I mean, so we'll get that moved up. It was actually my proposal to start the pilot program with the implementation money, because everybody cried there wasn't enough dollars. So, us being one of them. Again, Lorain International Festival, wonderful. I actually had the opportunity last Thursday,
my granddaughter, one of them, invited me to be her special friend at St. Joseph's School. Last week she was at St. Joseph in Avon Lake.
Avon Lake.
So I got to go there and have lunch with her and do the whole thing. It was really nice. I'd like to thank the staff at St. Joseph's Academy. We did everything else basically together, so I didn't do the Parade of Scholars. So, end of my report. Madam Clerk,
Board correspondence.
move the reading be waived.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Public comment.
Anyone wishing to address the board this morning? No more presentations?
No, that's it.
Brad, you don't need anything else to write about? Seeing no public comment, I motion to move into executive session as outlined by the county administrator and the county prosecutor.
Second.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Go Tribe.
Yeah.
This has been a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda for a printable copy of the agenda.
The United States of America is writing a prescription for pain that is wiping young people like me off the map. Our addiction to legally prescribed pain pills, like oxycodone or hydrocodone, is leading a lot of us straight to heroin. That's because prescription painkillers and heroin are both opioids. So when we can't get a refill, heroin is the only way to stop our pain or to get the same high. And heroin's less expensive and easier to get. I can have black tar heroin delivered to my house faster than a pizza. Once we start, we have to keep using, not for the high, but because we get sick from withdrawal if we try to stop. It's an epidemic. We're rich, poor, and middle class. We're from farms, cities, and suburbs. We're from families who had big hopes that we'd live healthy lives and not fall so far from such a high.
They're doing drugs.
It's easy to start, and it's painful to stop.
Prescription drugs are prescription for a reason. If you take too many of a prescription narcotic, you die.
Chelsea was very well liked by her friends and by her teachers.
Ronnie was going down to Tennessee State to be the next player to come out of Tennessee State.
Joey was extremely popular, just surrounded by friends.
Mark was an athletic, fit-looking kid.
Aaron enjoyed talking and debating with any and all people.
The prescription pain pill problem is a huge epidemic.
This is an epidemic.
This is an epidemic that is infiltrated our young people.
We never had a conversation with Joey about prescription drugs because we truly had no idea that there was any kind of recreational use going on.
How many guys know it's not used by
The first time I started doing painkillers was when I was 17.
I would steal pills from my friends
mom. Her stepmom had script for Vicodin. That was like heaven. I went in her room and stole Vicodin every day.
He would ask to use the bathroom in other people's homes, and he'd go in there and go in their medicine cabinets and steal prescription drugs.
These medications are available everywhere in every socioeconomic environment.
Ronnie was the starting halfback, one of our best players. He got several scholarship offers.
Ronnie was very popular in the neighborhood.
Ronnie was a neat freak, clean freak, always had his hair braided. When he got into the pill use, his mood changed. He changed, like, was that Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde?
Ronnie's appearance really deteriorated, and it was really unlike him.
I said, "Are you doing drugs?" And my son looked at me with these eyes of, "How could you even think of that, Mom?"
I was walking up to football practice. My coach was walking towards me. He just had this crazy look on his face. He goes, "You think they might have found your brother?" And I was like, to me, I was like goofing. I was like, I didn't know he went missing. So I was like making her like goofing off. And he was like, "No, Justin, seriously, they might have found his body." And I was like, "Wait a minute." I was "Whoa, what?" He's like, "Yeah, they discovered a body in an apartment in Telford."
I never thought my son would take prescription drugs without a prescription.
Parents often trip themselves up by asking a simple question: "Are you using drugs?" No. One has to be able to say, "I'm seeing some signs here that concern me."
He was a little bit more argumentative. We thought that was maybe hormones.
The person has what we call pinpoint pupils. Literally, the pupils look like a pinpoint.
She slept odd hours.
We didn't know why he was sleeping so late.
If I wasn't able to get high, then I didn't want to get out of bed because, the physical withdrawals.
We were missing tinfoil from the kitchen, missing spoons.
We'd find the pens that were cut in half.
Straws.
There were a lot of charges coming on the credit cards.
We thought that there was somebody stealing money out of her account.
That's probably a pretty good clue there's something going on. Joey was pretty upset with his roommates. They were spending all their money on medication. Had I known that the medications that they were taking were so dangerous, I would have told them, "You're not even going back to that place."
If you feel something's going on, you gotta investigate.
I thought it was just a phase. We partied when we were in high school, and it's just sort of a phase you go through as you grow, experience life, and you grow out of it. And I thought he was on that track.
Joey had been found and he was unconscious. He had all these medications that he had just received from this doctor. More than likely, he crushed and snorted it. We're just being completely hit blindly by, a situation we had absolutely no understanding of and no notice of. And in the meantime, my husband's in the house. I'm out front in the front of the house just, wondering what we're dealing with here. And so finally, Joe just came out and said, "He's gone."
I was downstairs getting ready for work. Cookie told me she couldn't get Mark up. Mark was powerful and had the nickname in some circles of Tank. I reminded her that what she had to do was get a cup of water and splash him with it and stay out of his way. And she told me it was different. We found a clear plastic bag of loose pills. I'm not sure if he even thought he was doing drugs, and I know that sounds crazy, but it's not like it was heroin or cocaine. We followed the ambulance to the hospital. A few minutes later, someone came in and told us that Mark was dead. We never thought that was a possibility. I had no idea that kids were abusing medicine.
I came home one night, saw the basement light on, and went up to the window, and my son was crushing and snorting the pills.
We would find pills in the shoes, in the jackets that are hanging in the closet, in the pockets.
I found some pills hidden under his cushion.
They were in his socks. I never checked my kid's socks.
He took the light switch plate off and put them in there.
Look everywhere. Is it an invasion? No. You're doing the right thing as a parent.
I would question Chelsea, and she would always assure me that everything is fine and nothing's wrong.
Kids don't want to get in trouble, so they're going to tell you exactly what you want to hear.
There was always something down deep inside that said to me, something's wrong. You doubt yourself because you wonder if you're making a bigger deal out of something.
You know, maybe deep down my parents knew that I was high.
You can't always believe your child. Their lies get bigger when they're trying to hide substance abuse.
I knew her inside and out, and I remember Chelsea as the little girl that she used to be.
I looked at him and I only saw the most beautiful son in the world.
It was very difficult to think that she would be lying to me, which she was. She was out using and abusing prescription drugs.
Long-acting agents like OxyContin are meant to be delivered in the body over a period of hours, if not a day. If they're chewed, crushed, and snorted, you get the entire dose at one blast, and if the body's not ready to accommodate that, you will stop breathing.
We needed to call the police. But what are the neighbors going to think?
Put all of that aside and focus on what's important, as difficult as it may be.
Families can't get too caught up in the idea that there may be an arrest, charge of my son or daughter. They could be in jail. They could be in the morgue.
The law saved my life. If my mom hadn't called the cops on me, I don't know where I would be right now.
It was the most difficult thing to do, to call the police on your own child. It was horrible. I have gone from putting importance on things like what college are you going to get into, to just celebrating the fact that she's alive today. She's doing very well. She's clean and sober. She's productive. She's sweet. And I have her back, and I'm thankful. And it's wonderful.
Aaron had spent the night at a friend's, and they found him blue and non-responsive. They took him to a local hospital.
He was using Vicodin, Valium, which we found out through his toxicology, what was in his blood system.
I witnessed him have 2 heart attacks in ICU. He had staph, he had pneumonia, he went through seizures. The doctor was explaining to us that he was going to die. We held his hands on each side, and we started crying, and he just laid there.
People use the medications in an abusive way, not knowing what the full consequences are, and somebody ends up here.
Within 24 hours, Aaron had opened his eyes.
Parents are the first line of defense in terms of prescription drug abuse.
You got to sit your kids down. You just got to tell them about the severity of the problem.
There's a number of steps that you can take.
Educate your child and yourself very early.
Anybody who feels that this can't happen to my child,
It could happen to your kid.
make sure that you don't have excess pills in your home.
Keep your medication locked up because you're never going to notice if something's gone.
What my mom does is she has these take-home pee tests that I got to take. I want to keep my mom proud of me, and I don't want to let her down.
You need to have the conversation with them about drug and substance abuse, and you need to include prescription drugs and guide them so they're able to get through their high school years and into college and through their college years drug-free.
Have this conversation before it's too late to have this conversation.
We load up an 18-foot trailer, rugs, cables, audio-video equipment, sound systems, all the lighting. Then we have the task of hauling everything out of the trailer and taking it into the gymnasium or lunchroom or whatever large multi-purpose room they have for us. We're generally there for the whole day. If we're going to be back at the school the next day, we can leave our equipment still set up. If we're going to be at a different school the next day, then we have the job of removing it from the multi-purpose room and taking it back to the trailer, loading up the trailer, and locking it up and calling it quits for the day. It started in January 2007 with CERTS, which is Safe Routes to School. And Ken had an idea to develop the Safety Star program. It has escalated to the point where, as of this year's date, we have seen 38,000 students in Lorain County.
County Engineer's Office is quite proud to announce that the Safe Routes to School program has been initiated throughout Lorain County. We're very excited about this. To help these children from grades K to 4, teaching them to walk the streets safely is very important to us. We've seen statistics that quite frankly shock us. Many times we read and see stories of pedestrians being hit by automobiles in Lorain County, and it just tears my heart to see these children from K to 4 part of that. This program is to stop that, to help diminish those type of situations, and to educate these children on crossing the street safely. And we're quite happy to announce.
We bring safety to the school. We're self-contained. We have all the mock simulations of scenarios, such as busy intersections. We have all the roads, movie screens, our audio-video system, streets, sidewalks, grass, working traffic signals, working railroad signals, and we bring that all to the school so the student does not have to leave. To make sure that all the lights, bulbs are working. And that all the audio video equipment is up and running. We then put on the program. We put together a dynamite program with a lot of positivity. We're very animated. The students enjoy it while they're learning an important rule about safety. When we ask questions, we ask for group participation. It's never just one student answering the question, it's everybody answering the question together.
Are you ready?
Teachers included. We make learning fun for everybody. We show two short films. One is Willie the Whistle, and Willie the Whistle teaches kids in a simple format the correct way to walk with parents, aunts or uncles, or any other family members that are responsible adults to cross streets where there are no stop signs or where it's just stop signs and no traffic lights, and to cross streets where there are parked cars, what to look for, when to cross, when there are cars parked along the sides of the street. And again, it's all basically looking left, right, and left. When the short film is over, we generally teach from what the kids just watched. And those are the scenarios then we go over with our mock setup. We go over basically what the video has just gone over. And then we let the kids apply what they just learned to doing it in real life to our mock simulation that we have in the room that we are performing in. Everybody leaves at the end of our program with a great feeling, knowing that all they have to do is look left, right, and left again, and they're going to be smiling for a good long time. I would highly recommend this program to all administrative principals in every school system. And It's a very good program. I believe in it 100%. I've had students see me at the mall or see me at a carnival or a festival and come up and say, I remember you. You're the safety guy. You're Mr. Neal. And the first question I ask them, what are the 3 ways you look before you cross the street? This could be the year after we saw them, and they always say left, right, and left again, and they say it with a smile. So I know our program works. Because you did a good job today, at the end of the day, you're going to get to go home with the yellow safety star bag. Okay? The fun part. The students get to take home their surprise at the end of the day, which is the yellow safety star bag. And inside that bag are some neat things about pedestrian safety. We have the pedestrian safety flashcards. They also will get the Safety Star Certificate of Participation, which has their school name on it and the date. And we like to let the kids know that that's something that they can take home and hang on their refrigerator, they can hang on their bedroom door, or they can have their parents put it in a scrapbook for them. Their parents will receive some information such as the top 10 safety tips for adults, because even as adults we need to refresh our memories on safety. They, as students, will receive the top 10 Safety Star tips for students. They will also receive a Safety Star maze for those that are a little bit more adventurous and like a challenge. We also offer a safety coloring sheet. And there are some other things in the bag, but the things the kids like the most is the Safety Star pencil. And that's a pencil that changes colors when you touch it. And with that pencil comes the Safety Star eraser, which is a yellow eraser shaped like a star, and it says Safety Star on it. We need 40-foot by 40-foot area, electrical accessibility, and a way to turn off and on the main lights of the room for our movies that we show. The smallest class we've done is 15 students. The largest class is 60. So usually the classes range from 23 to 25 students per class. There are occasions where the school has to schedule 2 classes at a time. We're very flexible. We do have the ability to fit into smaller rooms, so we pretty much will accommodate to what they can offer. I would highly recommend this program to all principals in every school system. At the end of the day, I feel very, very good. I'm excited that I know that kids are going to practice what they've learned, and I can go home and sleep good at night knowing that those children are going to get to school safely, they're going to get home safely, they're going to be smiling, and their parents are going to be smiling because everybody is safe.
Our mission is to capture and preserve the spirit, the sacrifices, and rich history of the American people. We want to honor those men and women who support and defend our way of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, as well as inspire future generations of Americans to understand how important it is to preserve this concept of freedom that we enjoy every day.
I knew that as a young child that I would join the military service and that I would become a United States Marine. I wanted to give back to this country, to serve my country. I wanted to give back all of myself to this country. And being a Marine is one who accepts challenges and adversity, faces them head on, and always knows and says to himself, I will never give up. We created this memorial to tell America's story from 1775 to present day. We want to captivate the hearts and minds of the American people to never forget the sacrifice that had been made to protect the rights and freedoms we have today. We need to keep America's sense of patriotism ignited and a continued respect for those who support and defend our freedom and way of life, both here and abroad. We need to educate our future generations that we are a country of many people, but as Americans we are one. Being American means flying the flag, to know the words to the national anthem and the Pledge of Allegiance, and bursting with pride when you hear those. It means being thankful for all those who have given their lives for this country. Finally, being an American means appreciating its great beauty.
As a volunteer nonprofit organization, we pledge our time, talent, and resources to honor the men and women who support and defend this country.
My name is Patricia A. Sexton. I'm the wife of Sergeant David Mason Sexton, for U.S. Army, who lost his life on March 15, 1971, and his remains have yet to come home to his son and I. During the years after I lost my husband, I felt like I needed to be doing something more for this country and our service. I went and got involved with Rolling Thunder, Chapter 5 out of Ohio. We built a POW MIA traveling wall that depicted the 137 names that were still classified as either prisoners of war or missing in action. Then in 2004, Ron Smith joined, and all the years after that, we traveled, talking to military, talking to every family that we possibly could, and realized from what they were saying that we needed possibly to have something else that depicted the spirit of the American people and to honor our military men and women, our police and fire.
In January 2014, Ray Simon of Ray Simon Art was contracted to paint the artwork. Ray's work always evokes a strong emotional feeling that pays tribute to the individual or event. He masterfully uses his artistic gift and integrates it with his deep love and reverence for American culture.
In 2013, it was just a vision, but as of November 2015, it will be a reality.
We encourage and challenge everyone to do whatever they can to honor those brave individuals who support, defend, and preserve our way of life. Please help and join us as we bring the spirit of America's story to thousands of Americans who want to pay tribute and honor to those who support and defend our great country.
The United States of America is writing a prescription for pain that is wiping young people like me off the map. Our addiction to legally prescribed pain pills, like oxycodone or hydrocodone, is leading a lot of us straight to heroin. That's because prescription painkillers and heroin are both opioids. So when we can't get a refill, heroin is the only way to stop our pain or to get the same high. And heroin's less expensive and easier to get. I can have black tar heroin delivered to my house faster than a pizza. Once we start, we have to keep using, not for the high, but because we get sick from withdrawal if we try to stop. It's an epidemic. We're rich, poor, and middle class. We're from farms, cities, and suburbs. We're from families who had big hopes that we'd live healthy lives and not fall so far from such a high.